warning all of the entire area right through to Harrison, as you'll notice. So as you tweet that out, B, I'm going to get this back to radar and give the folks a little understanding of what we're seeing across this area now. Let's go ahead and change things over to radar. And as we do that, we see the thunderstorms. I'm going to put the lightning back on for you folks. That way you can see that. How about actual numbers? We're at 364 in the last 15 minutes. That'll show you something. So this area here is the one we're talking about through Batesville. You'll notice all across this region, yep, that's what we've got, is that same area now, all stretching right around Batesville and Oldenburg across the area. I want to come over here just for a second so I can straighten this out and bring this to you here a little bit better. We also have a number of green bars in there indicating that, yes, we have got watches and warnings from a flood standpoint as well, or I should say warnings. Okay, so let me clear this off. And you'll see right here the area we're talking about. And at the moment, this area around Batesville, in fact, has a real telltale signature starting to, let me get out by the map so I can show it to you better. You'll notice that tail that's starting to grow here.
As well.
This is, what's that?
The shear has jumped to the strong category as well.
Yeah, that's not surprising given what we see here. I was talking about this not too long ago, that we weren't seeing too many of these features pop up because it was so much rain. In this case, while it is raining, it's not nearly as much. So we're seeing this area here. This is likely where we're talking about some of the probably winds that are in what would be different motions going on, and that's exactly the case. You'll see it's just down to the south of Batesville. Not to say that you folks aren't being affected by it, but some of those strongest winds are right down here just to the south. Let's see where we stand here. Hold on and take a closer look at it. We grab this guy, and I imagine we're going to see some pretty good amounts here. 75 and 74 out here, just extended out 61. So those are some of the winds that we're seeing. This is Sharonville now, the camera that you see to my side. So we're looking up north toward the storm itself, and you can see the lightning display that's happening. Let me give you first off an idea of the way we're looking at this storm at the moment here. Hold on. I got to bring this over here. Okay, hold on. My buttons are sticking. Yep, they sure are.
Going back to the other camera that we had up out there in Hamilton, that was on top of the Fitton Center, and there was a bunch of people in the theater that they have now been evacuated to the basement.
Okay, that's down to the south by Louisville. We got a sneaky guy down here. Brandon, we got to watch for our friends down in Gallatin and Owenton. You'll see that purple bar that's there. That's a confirmed tornado. So we're going to keep an eye on that as well. Let's do a kind of update here at 9:30. I think what's important. Oh, hey now. We're looking at Hamilton
again.
Yeah.
Dartown, you just were talking about them.
Yep.
Analyzing 83 miles per hour wind gusts.
Okay, well, that's because this, you can see that storm that was sitting right on top of it. You'll notice Hamilton just getting raked over with some lightning right at the moment. We have got a number of issues all across here. Guys, let's come back away from the pictures on the lightning. Thank you. And let's give you the update here. I want to, at this, every about half hour, I'd like to give kind of an update so that you folks can understand what we're talking about right now. So let me flatten out the map. And you'll see there's nothing in northern Kentucky right at the moment. West Union, the storm has moved out of your area, so that's good news there. But around the greater Cincinnati area, oh, wait a minute, is that a new warning? Across Dearborn County, it sure is.
Yeah, that was issued
this one here, that's out till 10 o'clock. That has to have, that's the one there. Okay. So that's the additional, that's the one for Batesville until 10.
Yep.
So that's the one that's out until that area. So now for all you folks who are in right across Ripley County where this is, about to cross through Sunman, we'll watch in a second, we've got a warning there through Harrison. That's out till 10 o'clock. Then we've been following this other storm up here, this one that's up in Butler County. And now you'll notice that what we're talking about is this storm right there out till 9:45, and at present It is making its way through Dartown and into 7 Mile. But all of this area you need to know, and there's a flood advisory out now because it's been raining so hard across there. You want to check that, B, what that rainfall totals are. The other thing too is just down here, we're going to keep an eye out for you folks. It's only a couple of counties away. There's Vevey and Owenton, and you'll see down, you folks would know Charlestown. So right at this moment, let's just do a quick check out here. Hold on a second. And there, and the radar. And there it is around Charlestown. So there's our Louisville radar. And you'll notice that you've got some time, but we're keeping an eye on that because if that's been a confirmed tornado, the power of that storm will likely hold together for a couple of counties, as we've already seen across here and some of the areas that we've already discussed here tonight. But the focus right at the moment is north of Cincinnati, and we have got plenty to talk about here. Let me take this one thing off here. And as you look at it, the green bars that you see, those are either flood advisories or we have one giant flood warning around those areas there. At present, we have got obviously frequent lightning all across here. We've got a storm first. B, cue up the Batesville storm, and I'm going to take a look at this other one, then I'll toss it over to you so we can effectively do both here. Right at the moment, the good news here as we look at it, just the structure of this, it looks like maybe because of the heavy rainfall, but maybe let me go under the storm itself. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, maybe just a little more north. Okay, so the center of the storm is probably just somewhere right around 7 Mile right now. And at present, we're seeing this storm with some rotational properties, and it's heading off what looks like to the east-southeast. Hold on a second. Let's get a little update there. Okay, so this storm will be in Hamilton at 9:37, so you're 5 minutes away. Mason, if it holds together, at 10:01. And considering these storms have been extremely strong, it wouldn't surprise me if it does hold together for that long. The BTI is 8.6 on this storm, but I'm not seeing any circulation on the storm itself. Let me put this on here. See if
Quite
we're
the
seeing
inflow
anything.
notch near New Miami.
Let me see if we're getting any low-level rotation. We're not. Okay, well, that's at least good, but I'm kind of surprised we're not seeing that. Okay, let me just click this off. All right, so the bottom line with this is you folks who are out to the east of all of the activity that we're talking about, you're going to see this storm and move in with 60 and 70 mile-an-hour wind gusts and torrential rain as well. So for areas that are Middletown and then stretching over potentially by Westchester through Lebanon, by Springboro, Waynesville, this storm's coming to you over the course of time. While we don't have a skid, let me see where this is, this latest. This is the center of the storm. So hold on a minute, or close to it. So we're looking at Trenton at 10:01 for that storm to move in. So it's going to be a good half an hour or more before you folks out by Springboro or Lebanon see this storm by you. We'll keep you posted. Let me go over to B and talk about that other storm by Batesville. Brandon?
Yeah, we are starting to see that rotation develop and strengthen. What we've got is an inflow notch right there near Sunman. This is just south of Interstate 74, excuse me. And what I've been keeping an eye on is that shear lines right up with that storm relative velocity, which we have seen that circulation just to the south of I-74. It's moving towards the east. As we tag that and show you that skip, that's moving towards the east. Hail size up to about 1.25 inches. That's about a $0.50, if not stronger, when it comes to the size of that hail. And the BTI 6.1. We've mentioned that number several times today. Think back a few weeks ago, 5 weeks ago from today. I think the strongest number I think we saw that day was around 5.5, and we saw 6 tornadoes that day. So these numbers alarming. Steve's mentioned 8, 8.8, 6.1, certainly strong enough as we've got that rotation there. And then that hail that just rolled through Batesville, likely north of Sunbin, up towards 1 inch to 1.5 inches with 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Good news is there hasn't been any indication that we've seen a tornado yet. Doesn't mean that there won't be one or there isn't one on the ground at this point in time. But the one thing that is alarming is when we do start to see these radar features, that's inflow. So what that's telling you is any of that moisture and atmospheric energy that's to the south of it is being pulled and sucked up like a vacuum, and that's just adding fuel to the fire, so to speak. So as this storm continues along I-74 towards Logan, towards the Ohio state line, we're likely to see this continue to intensify, and it's already going to be moving through some areas that have not been touched at all by storms within the last 6 to 8 hours.
Okay, B, gotcha, and thank you for the update. I was just analyzing this other storm by 7 Mile. We're now seeing some rotational action on this storm as well. The storm itself moving off again. Let's get the update there. East, we now have a TVS signature on this. That means that the storm is being analyzed as a tornado. So for you folks in that area who are in 7 Mile, you're in your tornado safe location, I am sure. So one of the things to consider is all across this region here, know this, that this storm is at its peak. Our unfortunate 9 first warning Doppler radar network is analyzing this as a tornado, and right now it is showing a TVS signature, and that's quite disturbing. So for you folks in there, hopefully this is across a field, farm field, something along those lines that's moving. Excuse me. Starting to lose my voice a little bit. As you look at it, you'll notice the entire area there that's under the tornado warning. That's now just on the other side of Middletown, and it's moving to you now, Middletown, highly populated Middletown. So I want you guys to go ahead and think about getting into your tornado safe location. You have a few minutes before it's going to be there, the center of the storm, let's call it, before it gets there. Some of these storm areas, and you'll see this, boy, you'll see this inflow here. There's some pretty good rotation going on around that area, and you'll notice how the lightning bolts are propagating out ahead of this area. This circulation here is probably pretty intense across that area. Yeah, and there it is. There's that 8.6 again. That's so doggone disturbing. It's moving at 48 miles an hour, no less, right across that region. So we've got, a really strong, powerful, destructive storm there going on across that area. So I want all of you folks now to make sure, even though you may not be in that tornado warning, and that includes Middletown and other spots out that way, down through Kyles as well. You'll notice Middletown 9:49 by the time this storm gets to your area. So you've got a few minutes, but I want you to take the precautions now at doing it. I would imagine the National Weather Service is going to likely extend this out and continue with this storm, given the parameters that we're seeing across the region. Now, that's the most disturbing area that we have. The other one down here, that in Batesville too, also though, showing some real significant power there. This is a shear storm. The latest here is, and this is going to start entering into a very highly populated area as well. And right at the moment, it's moving off at 50 miles an hour, so it's ripping. We've got a BTI, a tornado index of nearly 6, and we've got winds that are twisting at about 81 miles an hour on average. They could be higher. Our ETA with this particular storm, and this is important, now we're talking about places like West Harrison and Harrison being there at 9:52. How about Cheviot at 10:07, as well as White Oak? So as this storm starts moving toward you, you folks need to seriously think about getting into your tornado safe location. We'll see how this plays out. B, how is the shear handling? I know you just mentioned it, but I'm kind of curious what's going on now, considering that this now is knocking on the door to highly populated areas. This is going to be the tornado warning that starts moving in there. Where do we stand there?
Yeah, the Sunman storm just to the east of Sunman, that rotation. BTI now still at 5.9, shear being detected at 80.6. Now, the rotation on this looks like it's getting tight, and it's moving towards Harrison. As we tag this on the board, we also have one of those cylinders that you were just mentioning on that storm out towards the 7 Mile area. 4 miles per hour, 47, 111 miles per hour, and that is that rotation right there just to the west of Logan. So if you're in Harrison, you need to take your severe weather safe space. Right now, this is just about 9:53, 14 minutes from you. There's your 9-1 warning. About 14 minutes to get to your safe space in Harrison. Ross, 10:06. Cheviot, right around 10:09. So we're giving you just about a half an hour of warning. You're still down the road from this. It's now moving about 50 miles per hour. Probably the fastest storm that we have analyzed so far today. But what I do see is where that greatest area of rotation is. It's near North Dearborn Road and Geiger Road out there just towards the east of Sunman. I do want to tag these once again. We see that red and then that green, 59 plus 58. That's just under 120 miles per hour of tight rotation near Hubbell's Corner in southeast Indiana. That is Dearborn County, Indiana, and that's heading towards the east. So street view, again, North Dearborn Road and Geiger Road and Lips Road. If you know any of those streets or those roads, it's looking like more of a rural area, but that is where the strongest rotation and that shear, just want to toss that on top of it, it lines right up. When you start to see the shear and that high resolution severe wind gusts line up, that's where you're likely seeing a tornado developing.
Okay, B, let me give you the update for the other tornado-warned storm that we're seeing, and this one is up through Butler County, approaching Warren County right now, kind of waiting on seeing exactly how the Weather Service is going to handle this, but I imagine, let me take the lightning off here, that we're talking about we're looking at probably extending this, given the winds that we're seeing right around Trenton and down to Miltonville, or up to rather. But let's take a look at it. Much like Brandon was just taking a look at, we've got 68, we've got 73, we've got 49. I'm looking for some other green gate to gate here. These are some winds. I don't see much here. This is interesting. These are pretty much straight line winds that are showing across the area. So the spots that we see here under this tornado warning, all moving in one direction right at the moment. I think that's green down in by Bussenbark, I guess would be the name of the small town there. Yeah, it looks like there might be some green hidden in there. There's some gray ghost. So the rotation here is not quite as strong. It's more
Look at the shear rate, though.
Just the, what's that?
The shear rate is strong, and it's moving right into Trenton.
Is it right in that area?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, yeah, I see what you're saying here, yeah. Let me, wow. See the red shaded area behind me? It's under the strong banner, and it's across that area. The outside is weak, but if I was to tag this, because all it did was ask the same question as opposed to the winds, and
there's
there
an
you
inflow
go.
notch there.
There's all of the strong winds there that are moving off in the area. So there's a lot of parameters that would say this would likely be continued for you folks across this whole Warren County area. So that's going to be interesting to see here as we continue. That warning is out until 9:45. We continue to see all of that very heavy rain in our 9-1 warning Doppler radar network. The other bars that you see in there, those are all have to do with rainfall because of the intense rain that's coming down with this as well. The storms continue to move down and eastward. The storms themselves moving northeastward, but this is moving east and to the southeast. So it's not going to be long before we're talking about some of this either severe weather or very strong storms moving into much of Hamilton County. This is the area that we've seen that has already been severe. We have got 2 areas now of active tornado warnings. This warning is out, just double checking, yeah, till 10 o'clock. The other one until 9:45. This one that you see up here, and the storms that are moving into Middletown. Some of the strongest storms are just south of there. So for you folks in that Butler County and Warren County area, we're looking at Trenton and Lemon now getting in.
I would assume that that's going to be an extension.
You would think. Let's see if it propagates through here shortly, but I imagine this is going to just get extended out.
Severe thunderstorm warning. And that's going to be tagged with tornado possible.
Okay,
I'm surprised they went that route.
Okay. Well, as we look at it, this is still a very powerful storm. For you folks through Lebanon and Waynesville, don't all of a sudden think that, gosh, okay, we're fine. It's just a severe thunderstorm warning. Let me show you something up here, right here. And let me grab that. Hold on. right there. And I show you this notching right in through here. Okay, this is a lot of circulation that is going around right there in that Trenton and Lemon area. That's going to be pulling across that same kind of trajectory to you folks that are out that way, in through Oakland, Monroe, and then other smaller places like Green Tree and across there. So all of you folks are going to get this as it moves into your area. I'll be very interested to see if this doesn't form. This continues to grow here, this notch, and when we see that, we know there's a lot of circulation within that storm. But right at the moment, it's a severe thunderstorm warning, and that warning is going to be out until, hold on a second, let me grab it. What is it?
10:15.
10:15, yeah. So for you folks in and around the Springboro area, down through Lebanon, you're going to see this storm move into you. Let's get a little update on the ETA here and show you that it's moving east at 38 miles an hour, and it's going to be there at 10:01. So we're looking at about, 15 minutes or so. Morrow, a little bit longer at 10:09. And then Corwin at 10:14. Now, it does analyze as a storm. That's a little less powerful, so it may be diminishing a little bit as it moves, but there's a heck of a lot of rotation with that as it moves off to the east. There is some hail with this as well. So I would take this serious, folks, as I was just showing you that there are 60 and 70 mile an hour winds with this storm that are coming with it. So just because it may not be tornado warned, that doesn't mean there aren't winds that will do some damage, because in fact there are, as we were showing you. There's been a heck of a lot of lightning with this. I'm hopeful that you don't lose any power. Right now, it's been 75 strikes just in the small area that you see in the last 15 minutes. As we start opening it up, is that an extension of the warning? I thought, no, maybe it's not, I guess. Gosh, every time I see that blinking, I get a little nervous. You'll notice that there's this intense lightning, and then it starts fading off. How are we doing on that storm down by, that's moving toward Harrison right now, B? Because I'm wondering, only because I'm not seeing a whole lot of lightning across the area.
Well, here's Hamilton.
Okay.
We just had some extremely strong winds. These trees have been whipping back and forth, more of these lightning strikes, and as I throw up, you see all the lightning there on the map, as well as near Hamilton. What we're seeing downtown near Hamilton, up towards 117 lightning strikes, as you see it right there. And then as we pop up on radar, what you're going to notice is that is extremely heavy rain and a lot of lightning right there as well. Down towards Harrison, lightning not too strong. In fact, the circulation of the storm only near 17, but the shear rate is still intense. Out near Dover, this is near Logan, heading right towards Harrison. When we throw that skip back up, 5.2 for a BTI. However, what I do want to overlay is not only we had the shear there, that velocity, not quite as strong as it was about 20 minutes ago or even 10 minutes ago. Still, there is rotation south and west of Logan, and this is still on a direct path for Harrison. ETA looking to be around 10:01. So still 13 minutes. There's your 9-1 warning to get to your tornado safe space in Harrison, West Harrison, and even in Logan right now. Ross, 10:16 for when the center of that storm would be on your doorstep.
All right, Brandon, I'll take it from here, give everybody the update here as we look at the entire system itself. You'll see the thunderstorms that are with it, the ones that are starting to kind of cantilever down and across and into greater Cincinnati right now. You'll notice it appears, you'll see the line here, that's the flood warning, and of course it's now been extended, the tornado warning's being shortened too, so that's important. Although, gosh, look at that structure, B. Look at the end notch and look at the little ball down there as well. There seems to be a lot of rotation, as you were talking about. But this area here, from White Oak, Reading, places that haven't even seen any rain yet, you're about to get in on the party, and this is going to be some serious rain that comes across your area, the kind of flooding rain that really makes it so that you can't drive your car. Let's take a look at this storm that's moving off to the northeast for you folks still in that severe thunderstorm warning. Part of this storm, you'll notice, is moving off to the northeast. And as we look at it here, here's the ETA for so many places in the populated area of greater Cincinnati, from Ross at 9:52 down to Franklin at 10:19, with Mason at 10:12, with Springdale at 10:02. So now all of you folks are going to see these stronger storms. At present, we're looking at storms that are not severe. So we're not seeing these storms up here by Middletown and Springboro. It's very difficult to see, but that little circulation that unfortunately has popped up will help us kind of define this storm here for you folks who are somewhat under the gun at this present time. As you look at it from Trenton, where the center of the storm is located, and you'll see stretching up by Middletown, there's some intense rain across there, and the winds, as we showed you just a few moments ago. But let's check now as it continues to change across that area, and get the lightning off, and let's dive in. Here's that light red area that you see, and that area is where all of the stronger winds are. So it's by Todd Hunter Road. It's also by Roosevelt Boulevard. It'll be moving up through Hunter for you folks up by Hendrickson Road. This is all heading to you, and these wind gusts, as I'm going to show you, are likely around the 70-mile-an-hour range. Let's tag a few. 64. Okay, let's tag this one. Hold on. There we go. And 59. So, all right. Couple of more over there. We got a little area there circulating around. And how about this one? My button's not working. And then, so there you go. You got some very strong damaging wind gusts across the area. So that's going to continue to happen here across the tri-state. I'm going to give it to B, and I'm going to switch out my little clicker here because this button's starting to get worn. It's not activating right on cue. Go ahead, B.
Yeah, if you're in Westchester, you're not in a warning, but you're about to get slammed with extremely heavy rain and some strong winds. I wouldn't be surprised if these are close to 60-mile-per-hour winds as we pop up the radar. I want to toggle it back and forth, and you can just see how quickly the radar fills and adjusts out towards Westchester and I-75 as that is moving out towards the east. A new active weather alert just being popped up here in the Weather Center. Wouldn't be surprised if it is a new tornado warning due to that rotation getting close to the edge of this warning towards the west of Harrison. In fact, there it is. This does include Cheviot, Cleves, White Oak, Forest Park, and that is that same storm, the rotation on it, located near Logan, BTI 5.3, the ETA here. Let me get rid of this banner, and there's the skip. We're talking Cheviot 10:15, Northbrook 10:18, Mount Healthy 10:21, and North College Hill at 10:21 as well. This is northern portions of Hamilton County. Hamilton County, that is a county-wide tornado siren system, is it not?
Yes, it is.
So I wouldn't be surprised if in Cincinnati you start to hear some tornado warning.
Could be all across the county. It depends if they've set them off individually and they have somebody on duty. So it is possible it's actually individual for what would be the western part of Hamilton County. But nevertheless, you'll notice right now, most assuredly, many people are hearing a siren going off around greater Cincinnati.
Clifton.
What's that?
It does include Clifton and Finneytown.
Yeah, and as you look at it, it is so many areas. I live on the west side, and you'll notice Finneytown, Cheviot, White Oak, by Northbrook, Green Hills, Forest Park, Ross, all of these areas now included. In fact, let's do a little ETA and give you folks an idea of what's happening. Right now, we're seeing a shear storm with winds twisting of at least on average at 92 miles an hour. So we're looking at West Harrison here in just the next 6 minutes. Cheviot at 10:18. You'll notice North College Hill at 10:22. This is a strong rotating storm. By all accounts, it could be a storm on the ground, but it looks like at 5.3 thankfully it would not likely be on the ground, but a rotating storm that at any moment could produce something that touches down. So we'll watch this particular storm obviously right now and keep a very sharp eye on it, mostly because we're talking about now coming into some very highly populated areas. Let's go under the storm itself and take a look at what's going on, and it becomes pretty clear as to where the center of the storm is right here. Let's spot it for you out by Whitewater Park, more importantly by Dry Fork Road, know exactly where that is, Lawrenceburg Road, and then we're talking about Bond Road, there's State Line. So all of this area, this is where we're seeing some very strong rotation as it continues to move off to the east. Let's see exactly what we're talking about here. 50, there's one right there, and I'm starting to get a little frustrated myself here. How about if I go down? There we go, 55, 54. There's a couple of gates at 57. There's 64. So this area that's there right around the area that I mentioned, we're talking about a pretty tight rotation showing up around that area. That is going to be moving off to the east right now. And I wanted to see anything else. Brooks Road, Bond Road, all across there. There's the area we're talking about moving from Logan. The storm itself located here, moving off to the east. I want to get another idea of how it's moving due east at 38 miles an hour. Excuse me. So it continues to move right around 275 right out there by State Line Road. If you're on the west side, you know exactly where this storm is heading and how it's moving off to the west itself. So we'll continue to watch this moving in now, those rather highly populated areas. Not that this is a matter, but there's also an intense amount of rain with this. So there's likely very difficult situation if anyone's out actually driving. But if you have anybody there, tell them to get into a safe location now who might be out by State Line or by 275. Let me go back up to this other storm that now is a severe thunderstorm warning as well. We will continue to watch this, and I'm sure B's on top of it anyway. But right now, that storm that was up by Butler County and Warren County, you'll notice right at the moment, looks like this might be the best skit for us. Now, we're talking about it hitting Lebanon at 10:04, so it's within the next few minutes. We still have a high BTI right at the moment. Look at the hail. We're talking about some good damaging hail there, moving off, and it's ripping it east at 47 miles an hour. As it continues on its way, it's quite possible you folks out to Spring Valley may see this as well, even though at present you're not under the severe thunderstorm warning. The most concerning storm continues to be here on the west side as it continues to move off closer into greater Cincinnati. The storm itself, here's 275. You can see it's right there at State Line, so it's going to be moving across to the east.
155 miles per hour.
155 miles an hour we have spinning around this baseline that we were showing you here at the latest. The rainfall itself is almost immaterial given the winds because we're under a tornado warning for the greater Cincinnati area on the west side, stretching out to about Norwood, Reading, and Forest Park. So if you're anywhere west of that area, and you'll see it here on the map, but in case our friends for non-sighted friends need some assistance, we're talking about anywhere from Ross down to Cheviot and Cleves and as far east as about Reading right now. But we'll see if that doesn't get extended as we continue on here. Some aspects of this storm as we look at it, I'm curious how that lightning is going right at the moment around that storm. 130 strikes across the panel, but in this area alone, let's see, we're talking about in just the last 15 minutes, we're talking about 54 strikes, and we're talking about some very tight couplets down here. You're talking about some very strong rotational winds that are moving off to the east. And if we check shear, not quite measuring up as we'd like to see it, or I should say we don't want to see it. But nevertheless, this is a very powerful storm, probably not with something on the ground with everything that we're seeing right here. Some thoughts, B?
What I just noticed is that area of rotation where we were talking about that couplet right there on the ground, it's actually displaced from this area of rotation, and it just dissipated. But what I do want to take a look at here is the one area that we were concerned about is that area right there that we just circled. However, when I toss the reflectivity over it, that is not where the center of the storm would be. So that could be some winds out ahead of the actual rotation, still some straight line winds moving through, but the actual rotation still towards Harrison, and that's continuing towards the east-northeast. So that might be why that shear rate didn't quite line up, because it's a little further towards the north than what that actually was pumping out.
Yeah, there was definitely some twisting winds, though, there, because we had it was a gate-to-gate shear there. So, yeah, you're right about that. As we look at it, there sure is a telltale sign of something going on here because of this notching and this kind of ball effect, or the tail that you see that's happening out there as well. And while we mince words one way or the other, it really doesn't matter. This is a very powerful storm that will cause damage as it moves across the area. So that's really the bottom line. And it is a tornado warning. So for you folks across this region, anywhere in here, out by Harrison, Blue Jay, and we're talking about then by Fernald, it'll be moving in toward our area here shortly. And as a result, these thunderstorms and all the warnings that we're talking about, and the heavy rain and the lightning, all moving across the area. You'll notice, too, another storm growing in intensity back here by Sunman and Brookville. We'll keep an eye on this right now. That seems to be growing as a pretty strong storm as of itself. Let's back this out. It is 10 o'clock, and as we like to do every half hour, kind of set the stage of what's happening. I also noticed, B, will you check on that severe thunderstorm warning?
It was just issued. It is out until 11. It does include Lebanon as well as Mason, and also parts of Wilmington as this is moving towards the east. The latest update from the Storm Prediction Center, the National Weather Service, saying any size hail, 60 miles per hour, still tagging it with the wording tornado possible. We're starting to see a bit of a bowing segment. That was what I was trying to point out just a few minutes ago towards Westchester. That bow towards the south and west of Lebanon, north of Sycamore, pushing right towards the interstate. That's going to have probably the strongest winds here. I wouldn't be surprised if 60 plus miles per hour as that's moving towards Mainville and Butlerville with that rotation closer to South Lebanon and Lebanon. So we had down power lines along the interstate a few weeks ago because of a system similar to this. So as you're looking at this near I-71, if you know anyone traveling, make sure that they're pulling off to the side and trying to find a safe space.
All right, let's do a little update here. We're right at the top of the hour, and at 10 o'clock here, we are in continuing coverage and have been in the last couple of hours because of tornado warnings striking the tri-state, as we thought they might. You'll notice right now we continue under a tornado watch until 1 o'clock. That's all of that red shaded area underneath all of the activity, the rainfall, the lightning, and everything else on our radar. So we'll continue that till 1 o'clock. This line that's moving across the area continues to move south at the same way it's moving east. So for you folks in northern Kentucky, you're not out of the woods yet, because all of this is still going to cut right across the area. And frankly, at 10 o'clock here, we're still looking at the possibility of seeing this continuing through midnight or even later, because this storm itself, while it's moving quickly individually, is in a group, in a line, and it slows everything down, but it's going to just slide right across the area here as we continue for tonight. Now, an update. Tornado warning is the most severe weather system we have here, as you might imagine, and it is unfortunately including the west side of Cincinnati. So if you're on the west side, you're under this tornado warning, and that includes my wife, who I'm hope is watching, is now in our basement with our dogs and cats. For everybody else as well, you need to get into your tornado safe location. We're talking about some serious rotation that's back here, but nonetheless, we're talking about winds within these storms that are probably producing winds at 60 miles an hour, and we're talking about a significant distance too, from Harrison stretching all the way to Green Hills. And along those lines, let's check out exactly how long that's going to be. Oh boy, we have some pretty good rotation now, B. We've got an 8.7 showing up on this storm, meaning that the possibility possibility of this storm area here, right along probably this area, maybe you could take it in a minute, is, let's see what it is now, 8.4, but still pretty significant. So this is a tornado-warned storm, folks, and at any moment in time, this could produce a tornado. So as a result, I'm going to go down and across these ETA estimates as we roll on here, because I want our friends who are non-sighted and everybody else to recognize what we're talking about. At 10:15, this storm's going to be in Ross. At 10:26, it's Finneytown. Laughlin at 10:31, as well as Wyoming. And Redding at 10:33, and Norwood at the same. So there you have it. The storm, while you may be under some thunderstorms and winds, you're going to see the center of the storm, which is back here, back toward Harrison. That's the area that we're talking about with some of the strongest winds. And in fact, it looks like there might be some winds out ahead of that as well. See this bright red shaded area out moving into about White Oak. So we're seeing wind gusts to likely 50 and 60 out there. V, you ready to go?
Yeah, I just wanted to pull up our Harrison camera. This is right where this storm just ran through. If you pull this full on links 2, this is the kind of rainfall that you're going to see within this storm. You're not going to see the rotation. As guys, if we can take this full in the back, very heavy rainfall. The winds on this making it very hard to see as well. That looks like that's the Hamilton camera, but if we can pop up links 2 full as the Harrison camera is what we're trying to show, is that's where the center of the storm just passed through. Not going to get it. That's okay. As far as the analysis itself, there's more rotation with that severe thunderstorm out towards Lebanon and South Lebanon that I was keeping an eye on, and the rotation is not quite as strong as it was a little further towards the west, but still something to keep an eye on here, as this is part of that new severe thunderstorm warning. The lightning still continues to remain extremely high with this, and that shear rate, as I'm going to circle, has a little bit of that S shape to it. As we go to these weather conferences, especially the Barron Weather Conference, they teach us about some of the signatures we'll see on radar. And when you start to see that S curve showing up on radar, that's where there's extreme strong spin. So Lebanon, even if there's not a tornado forming, there's the potential that you could have some very strong twisting winds with this. The BTI is still 5.7. Everything we have tagged here for the last 2 hours has been 5 or higher, just showing you what the environment today is posing with these storms. Better twist, stronger twist, and anything that does develop has a little bit more significance to it. Steve?
Yeah, Brandon, in fact, more on what Brandon was talking about. You'll notice this little hook here, and there it is. If you know anything about weather, you've heard the term hook echo, and that's what we're seeing here. So the rotation in this particular storm is rather significant. And you'll notice out ahead of the storm as well that this lightning continues to propagate, which would also be an indicator of what happens. So we're looking at the storm itself, and let's go ahead. It's out by 275 and 129. So that's probably the best indicator for you folks on the west side who are out by Dent and Mack and Cleves. Here's the center of the storm here. It's going to be moving into you folks in Northbrook and Barnesburg and White Oak. So Montford Heights, Mount Healthy. This storm is going to be significant with damaging winds across this area. And I hope it doesn't happen to you, and I hope it lifts and it all is good. But right now, we're looking at a storm that's going to be crossing this area by Harrison Avenue and then stretching up by Miami River Road, and then start to move off to the east, and it's ripping across that area. Here's a better look at a more street by street from West Fork to Harrison to Wesselman. Everybody on the west side knows where that is, and that's approximately where the center of that storm is, and that storm continues to move to the east. And at last trek, I think it was 38 miles an hour off to the east. So all of this storm moves across Forest Park down to Redding. You'll notice you're under a tornado warning, and that warning is out until 10:15. We'll see if this doesn't get, well, it won't need to be extended. The storm is still probably within that, but I don't think it's going to make it out of that in 7 minutes. So we'll see what's up from the Weather Service here momentarily and how they're going to play that. But again, the ETA value is important. Our 9 first warning radar network indicating that this is a TVS system. So in other words, there is, according to the radar, a tornado within this storm system right now. It's moving off to 36 miles an hour, and it's moving at that flash pace right at the moment, moving toward very highly populated areas of Northbrook and White Oak. There will be damage with this storm, I'm afraid to tell you, and unfortunately we're not talking about cornfields or farm fields with this particular storm. You'll see the ETAs, so we're talking about White Oak at 10:19, so it's about 10 minutes away, North College Hill at 10:23. So everybody into their tornado safe location. Now, I want to back the radar out a little bit and see how our storm is doing up here, and you'll notice we're still under a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Warren and into now Clinton County as well. What's that?
Take a look at the shear rate on that.
Okay, I'll be right there. And as we look at it, you'll notice that the storm itself centered over about Lebanon right at the moment. There's a little bit of notching here, indicating there's probably some strength to the storm. And let's just see what the ETA would be for this storm for you folks, and we're talking about Wilmington at 10:37, this severe thunderstorm right at the moment, moving at almost 50 miles an hour. We still have a very high tornado index at 5.7, a lot of rotation with this storm. B, you got an update? Yeah.
Just the shear rate is very strong, moving right into Lebanon. There's potential tornado developing with that. I have it popped up here as it's moving from Avalon Heights into Lebanon. That's where we've got that S curve just north of South Lebanon. And when we toss on the storm relative velocity, we're seeing couplets there that are showing wind gusts up to 62 miles per hour and 18. So that's rotation of 80 miles per hour twisting. And just before that, it was about 100 miles per hour. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a tornado developing on that area near Lebanon. We do have our very own Valerie Lyons right now in Hamilton, where this storm just went through. Valerie, what are you seeing out there? Any damage? Is it just lightning, or are we seeing any downed trees or anything out that way?
Yeah, hey there, Brandon. So like you said, downtown Hamilton, and we are making our way a little closer to Oxford now. Just a lot of rain and a lot of lightning. About 5 or so minutes ago, it was a complete light show out here where I don't think I could go a second without seeing light flashing across the sky. Really, really heavy rain. There came a point where we were approaching Hamilton and we had to drive maybe 20 miles an hour on the highway with our flashers on just to stay safe. Everyone around us was the same way. So really heavy rain. We are continuing through Hamilton now, making our way closer to Oxford. Like I said, really not seeing a lot of damage, at least on the stretch of road that we are on. Not seeing really downed trees or anything like that, just a lot of rain. It's a lot lighter what you're seeing right now through our view than what it was just about 5 or so minutes ago. That was the most extreme portion of it. But that's what we're seeing for the most part. We are now seeing some lightning kick up again off to our left. Just a light
Valerie,
show out
thank
here.
you very
That's
much.
what we're seeing
That's
for now.
an update as to what Valerie's seeing now.